Hey guys, I wanted to share with you some information that I just figured out this past week. I kind of stumbled on it. I was looking for something to make an impression on a small piece of metal, and I went out on a journey to Hobby Lobby and Michael's, trying to find something, anything to do this, just to either put it in the rolling mill or the hydraulic press, just to put a texture on something. Well, they're not for metal specifically, but they work on metal. They're for paper, and they are made for the Sizzix and the Spellbinders, and there's one more, Cuttlebug. They have texture plates, no, embossing folders, which are these little things, and you put them, usually, well, you put paper in them, and you roll them through this thing in it, like a rolling mill, kind of, and but this wouldn't fit through my rolling mill because it's too wide, so I put it in the hydraulic press, and it worked. I was shocked. This is what it did. That's after cleaning it and brass brush. The shape, though, I used this. These are called, I think they just call these dies. And see, there's a little line in the center there. That's the part that cuts. And you can see it's a little rounded this way from my rolling mill because I did it so much. I think it was like 5 times, or like I didn't move or anything, I just rolled it back and forth. It cut through the paper, which, you know, that's what it's supposed to do, its job. But I put it through, how did I do that? I think it was like this. I had the paper, the metal, which is 24 gauge, and it was annealed. Very important to have it annealed. What else? Oh, then this. Duh. And then I had a piece of work hardened copper on the back, and I rolled that through just back and forth like 5 times, and I would tighten it maybe a fourth a turn each time, and it came out like this. I just did 2 of them because I've done this a lot, this video, and this is the last time I'm doing it tonight. I tape it on the little ones just to keep them in place because they're so tiny. I'll do that later. But it does that. That's rolling it back and forth a few times. I'm hoping that's catching a light there. So what you do is you take, I take these. I use these for everything. But you know how when we used to lock our keys in our car or lock the doors, and you could take a metal coat hanger and you'd bend it back and forth to break it? Same concept. It work hardened it enough to where it was brittle and it would break. Then we could unlock our doors, which you can't do that now. But this you take, and what I'm going to do is bend it right at the crease where that crease is. Bend it back and forth because it's already thin from being rolled through, and it's work hardened. So hear it popping? So it's very thin and brittle. So you just keep working that back and forth till it pops, and move to the next section. And eventually it's free. All right, there we go. Flatten that down, and that's what you end up with. Perfectly cut out oval. Ta-da! Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. So the only thing you have to do is clean up the edges, the very, very edges of it. I have to use this paper because there's no real anything for this to go against to so you can see it. And I can't really see what you're seeing very well. You can do anything, all kind of things with this pendant. You can slightly dome this, or go ahead and work harden this a little bit. Give it a little bit of tooth by sanding it. Put enamel on it. Enamel it. Make it into a pendant, or texture it. Put holes in it. Make them earrings. Perfect size for earrings. All you have to do is, like I said, clean up the edges. Perfect. I made earlier, there was trying to use something to hold these while I show them to you because they're so small my fingers get in the way. There's a heart that I did. I domed that with, I can't tell if I'm doing that right, so everything's blended in. And there's a flower that I did. It was off the same thing. There, you can kind of see that. But you use this doming block, and you use the little things with it. I'll show you how to do it. It's still pretty annealed. It'll probably, the other ones, yeah. You can probably just hand do that. Yeah, pretty much. See how it's got a rounded to it? I don't know if you can see that. I'm not. But like I said, this is the last take tonight, and I'm not doing it over. Computer's on the fritz, and I can't edit, so it's one take or nothing. There are these. These are the embossing folders. It's this. I don't know why the darker ones. I think the darker ones are, yeah, they're the ones where the metal goes this way, or well, the paper, and then where there's not, it's flat. I don't know if you can see inside there the texture on that, the way that is. But this is what it did when I rolled it through, and this is after, what's done here is after rolling it, cleaning it with a brass brush, just getting the rest of the pickle off. And I, what do you call it? Liver of sulfur. I added liver of sulfur to give it a patina, and that's what it came out looking like. I like it. I like that one a lot. You can make that into a pendant for a necklace. If you would have made two of them, you could have, or made it big enough, you could have cut it in half and made earrings. But I happen to like that texture a lot. And then this one is the square. It's this square piece, and it has little dots all around it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, which I have been before, I could be again, these are, it's called framelits. Framelits. And when you make them, the paper up here in the corner, somewhere over here. Oh, yeah, there it is on the back. Duh. I don't know. I guess it cuts out, those little circles get cut out when you do it. There's what it looks like on paper. It's either paper or felt. I can't tell. It's so thick. But anyway, I used it to cut out a square, and then the dots, it left the dots all the way around the edges, so I just put lines through the middle with a hammer, a texture hammer. I still don't think you can see those. And there. And put a hole. I am so new to this. It's, everything's backwards. I put a hole in the top, and line textures in the middle, and liver of sulfur again, and it rounded a little bit, curved just from using the hammer. But I want you to be able to see the holes, how it left the dark in the grooves from the liver of sulfur. So that's what, you know, a lot of this is going to look like, the dark on it. This, I'm not sure what the heck that's going to look like. That almost looks like a rash or something. I don't know what in the world that's supposed to look like, but whatever. And this one is it's an embossing folder, but it's texture and no, that's not texture impressions. It's that one just kind of disappeared, I guess. I don't know. But it's texture fades, but it's like a flowery, kind of an old-timey kind of thing. You could probably pick different things out. I probably should have picked more of the leaves out, but I picked one specific flower that fit, and it did a pretty deep impression, I think. And this was the hydraulic press is what this was. And this is 24 gauge annealed. This here is 18 gauge annealed. And I was really shocked how much of an impression that left in that, and that's through the hydraulic press. I mean, there's even lines through it that are on the flower. I wish I could get that up close enough for you. I don't know if you can or not, but the very bottom there's lines that go straight up through it that are on here. I can see it. I'm really shocked that it did that. Annealing really helps you with jewelry. I cannot stress that enough. And there was another one. This little square one I just did too. I did leave tape around the back because I wanted to show you what it would do if it did it on this one. I don't know. I think I farted out too quick on that one and quit with the tape. No, it didn't. Well, it kind of did there. Sometimes if you have the tape on the back, if it's like overlaps like that, it'll leave the little jagged edge where it's rolled, because it still rolls that side too. And it did a little bit. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it did. And this one, and it cuts your tape too. It makes it kind of a bear to get off of there. Let's see. Yep, it worked. Worked again. I would think if you wanted to make this look exactly like this, though, all you would have to do is, because it has the imprint on the, let me try to get that light to glare off of it. Since it has that imprint on it, you could take and put this back on it. If I can get you to see that, it won't move. Like, I'm not really holding that. It will not move across that because it's embedded in, those little dots hold it in place, and the line. You could actually put that back and trace on the inside of that square with like a Sharpie. We have a fine point Sharpie that you could do that and use your jeweler's saw to cut that out. I'm not a fan of sawing with the jeweler's saw. I have cut my hands. I mean, my fingers just, it slices right in. It's, ugh. It just makes me nauseous thinking about it. But yeah, you just wiggle it back and forth, it pops right off. I love that. Now another thing I was thinking is, even if it didn't do this, if you didn't have thin enough metal for it to do this, so easy. I mean, you pay a lot of money for these die cut pieces through the suppliers, you really do. Even just circles. And they have, you know, squares, oval, flowers. There's one right here. They have so many flowers on this. These are thinlits too. I'll pull the paper out. You can't really see it through that little box thing. That's the one that I have. See all the different flowers that it does? You can get those flowers in metal. I don't know what you'd do with the wood branch, but there's some of them that are kind of tiny, but let's see, this one's pretty small. I'm trying to get that against something. That's pretty small, but if you're using these on like You could make, if you were doing a pendant, I don't know, just throwing these pieces together because it's all I have right now. This, and you solder it onto that. You know, it'd be like a kind of a 3D kind of, it would stick up and have some texture to it. Not exactly that, but you know, even that together. Just something. I'm just saying, you can do millions of things with these. This is just these pieces, but you can do with the flowers. You usually, with the petals, you kind of move them to make them look like regular flowers. You know, I mean, you could have one on here. Stick flowers everywhere. Everywhere. Little flowers, little hearts. You kind of move them up, and then the ones that have like realistic petals, you can move them, form them, try to form them like a flower would look. And then there are, of course, leaves. You can do earrings, necklace pieces, even components, like maybe a leaf on each side. But even if it didn't poke through, I was on a subject there, and I kind of went left. Even if it didn't cut all the way through and you couldn't work it to break, if it was thicker, like maybe 16 or 14 gauge, it would leave enough of a channel in there. You could take your like a drill bit and drill a hole right next to the channel, and take your jeweler's saw, because you take it out of the jeweler's saw, the blade, and you stick the blade up through there. They're that small, and you could saw. It would give you something to saw instead of having to trace or stick anything on there. You would have a valley there, a little crevice thing to saw right around it. Just a thought. What else? I know there was something else. Cut, emboss. I don't know. I'm very highly impressed with what I have found. I don't know if anybody else has figured this out, but I wanted to share this because this is pretty cool, I think. There's just so many options that you can do. They even have these long ones like this, that you could even have that like a bracelet blank. I know they sell blanks, but if you were to make your own blank, of course, so you could anneal that and then roll that through the rolling mill, it would have that impression on it. Same with that one. I'm not real sure what that one is. Not really sure. There's just a cut and dies. They have the alphabet. They have circles that I bought too, because man, it is really hard to cut a perfect circle. I will tell you that. Not easy. But anyway, that is my big find. That's what I discovered this week. It was a very happy accident. And also the thing I originally was looking for, I did figure out something for that. So it all worked out. It all ended well. So I hope you get a chance to pick up a couple of these. You know, they have them on sale half price sometimes at Hobby Lobby. They have every week they have something, a whole section of their store half price. I love that store. Michael's does too now. I've seen that. I've noticed that. And they also have, every week they have 40% off coupons. So there's work. Because the things you get from the companies, like they're about that big. They're like half this width, and they're not folded. They're just a metal plate. They're rolling plates or texture plates. I can't remember exactly what they call them. They're like $50 a piece. That's a big chunk to lay down on something that, I don't know, after I made about 10 pair of earrings with that texture, I'd probably be like, Unless it was a big seller, I guess. I don't know how that works, but I'd get kind of bored with that, using the same thing all the time. But I think that's all. I think that's all I have. I just keep thinking there's something I'm forgetting to tell you. But I think that was it. So I hope you learned something, and I hope you have fun with this. I know I have. For the last few days I've been making all kind of stuff. So thanks for watching, guys.